Suitables, powering imagination.
This is Mike with Suitables here with the instructional build video for the Suitables aircraft carrier. Here's what it looks like complete. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so to begin building your aircraft carrier, start by just taking all the kit pieces out of the box, and what we want to do is just spread them out onto a table, lay them out onto a table. Spread out all the pieces. It's going to make it much easier to assemble with all the pieces out in front of us. You can see what the kit looks like there. And we have some smaller pieces there. Now what we're going to do is go around to all the kit pieces and remove all these little cardboard shads. Just pop them out. And you can use a bigger scrap like this as a punch tool to help you get out all the rest of the little slot scrap pieces there. You can see how I'm using that to get some of those real tiny pieces there, those tiny little cardboard shads. So once you have all those punched out on all the kit pieces, we can begin assembly. So keep punching out all those slot scraps, and now we're going to start by popping up the main body structure, and then we're going to fold, starting with flap 1, fold flap 1 in, then flap 2, then 3, and then 4. And what you want to do here is reach inside and lean flap 1 way back until flap 4 can reach the groove on flap 1. We're going to do the same thing here on the other side. Flap 1, 2, 3, and then 4, and that pops up our main body. And now we can move on to the front piece here where the anchors are. So we're going to start with this piece, and we're going to flip it over, and what we want to do is just pre-fold all the score lines here, break in all the score lines that are on this piece. And to do that, you want to brace with your hands very close to the score lines. Put a lot of pressure on these flaps here, 2A. If you brace real close to the score lines with your hands, it'll prevent creasing from any of the panels. You won't wrinkle the cardboard anywhere. Put a lot of pressure on that flap as well. Pre-fold the tabs. And then what you're going to do is come over to the front, the red part here, and you're going to insert tab 1A into slot 1A and then 1B into slot 1B. And then flip it over. And then you're going to pre-fold these tabs 2A on the sides and then help them find their slots. So 2A to 2A, and do the same thing on the other side, 2A to 2A. And that completes our bow or front section piece. Now we can install it onto the body section here. So what we want to do is identify the front on the body structure right here, and then we want to flip both pieces over upside down with the red side facing up. And then we're going to start by installing tabs 3A into their respective slots on either side. Just get them started, don't snap them into place, and that's going to help us guide the rest of the tabs progressively into their slots. So move on to tabs 4A and then 4B. And then same thing over here, 4A, 4B. Now we can move on to the top with 5A. It's important to follow the progression here with these tabs because the bottom tabs where the red section is are longer than the ones at the top, and it makes it a lot easier for you to progressively work your way up. Once you have them all lined up to their slots, you need to start slowly working your way around this bow piece until all of the slots, or all the tabs I should say, are worked down into their slots. So work them little by little, push, and you can pull from the inside as well on those tabs, and just work them little by little and be patient and keep going all the way around until you close up that gap all the way around the bow section. It is a pretty tight fit, pretty snug when it's all snapped into place. It's a really tight seam there. And there's the bow section. Now we're going to move on to the rear section. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to start by pre-folding on all the score lines. Now these little triangular flaps here, make sure you really fold those well. Put a lot of pressure on these little guys here, flap 6. Okay, really press those out all the way to the edges really well. Press them hard. You don't have to press so hard on the other flaps, just these guys need a lot of pressure. I'll call it out when they need more pressure. All right, pre-fold those guys, break in the side pieces there, and then these little flaps right here, 8A, put a lot of pressure on those. Those need a lot of pressure. So what you're going to do is you're going to start by finding the rear section, make sure you're lining up to the rear, and then you want to take tabs 6A and you want to come down and install them into their respective slots, 6A at the bottom there. So snap those into place, push them in. And then what you want to do is sort of build the piece out on the sides there, push the sides together while rotating the piece up. And just like we did in the front, we're going to progressively insert these tabs as we work our way up from the bottom. So tabs 7A are going to go into their slots on both sides. And then you're going to do 7B. Now again, don't snap them into place yet. And then we're going to grab tabs 8A at the top section and just close those down into their slots. And now we can start lining up 9A. And all of the tabs should line up to their slots, and just little by little, just slowly work them into place. Work your way around the model, little by little. Keep it kind of even as you push it all in. Use your palm. You don't want to crease it. And now that's installed. There's the rear panel installed. Next, we're going to move on to the deck cover of the aircraft carrier. And what we need to do here is find all the score lines and break them in for all the flaps and tabs here. Now these really large sections here of deck panel, you want to slowly work those by getting your fingers really close. You want to brace your fingers really close to the score line as you're folding that, the larger ones here, and that's going to prevent creasing and wrinkling. So I'm kind of being careful there about that. Now you really want to get a lot of pressure down on these score lines. They require quite a bit of pressure. So you can see that here. I'm just dragging my palm and squeezing it and pinching it. And you want to do that for all the panels. Notice how there are two score lines here. You really want to break in both score lines very well all the way around on this deck panel. All right, do the same thing here with this little panel section. All these panels need to be broken in very well. It's going to help with aesthetics later on. All the flaps and tabs all the way around. Notice how close my fingers are. They're bracing right up against those score lines as I'm folding. I'm going to go ahead and pinch and slide right there. Pinch and slide. Really break those in. Don't be shy about putting a lot of pressure down to break them in. Do the same thing up here on these front tabs, flaps. You really want to put a lot of pressure there on both of the score lines. First with that one, then with this one. Same thing here. It's all going to be worth it once we build this thing out. It's going to help with aesthetics. Fold the interior flaps. Put a lot of pressure on these as well, on these interior flaps as you pre-fold them. We're also going to take this the hatch door in the front. We're going to pre-fold and then fold back down. Do the same thing with the little tab. Pre-fold it back down. All right, and then with these little flaps right here, 21, we want to fold them up in the natural position, and then we want to back fold them, break them back, just like that. And that's going to hold our sound module later. Next, we're going to remove the twin stick pad covers from the slots on the right and left sides of the opening. Then we're going to take our body structure where the front piece is and lay it loose over the deck upside down. Just kind of situate it there. And then you're going to come over to this long section where tab 11A is, break in that tab. Now you can lift up the main body and help all of these tabs, 11A, B, C, and D, find their slots and just slowly work them in. And again, you can lift up that body a little bit that's loose on the table and help those tabs get into their slots. Fold those little tabs in, kind of tuck them in, those little ones in the front there. You can reach inside and pull on those tabs as well. Then you're going to take tab 11A and secure it to the twin stick pad on the inside. Do the same thing over here with 12A, B, and C. We want to insert 12A first by lifting up the body structure, pre-fold those tabs, and then help them find their slots. And just little by little work them in. You can pull from the inside. And then with tab 12A all the way inserted, go ahead and secure it down to its twin stick pad. Then we're going to come on to step 13A. Notice that little triangular flap. Just tuck that in right there to hide the gap in the deck. And go ahead and insert tab 13A into its slot. Then we're going to come around to the back, 14A. And make sure these little tiny tabs on the sides are tucked in. And go ahead and insert tabs 14A into their respective slots and just work them in until they snap in. then spin it around, and what we're going to do is come up to 15A. And you can turn the carrier right side up, fold flap 15A in, and then insert tabs 15A into their respective slots at the end of the runway there. And just snap them in. Then come over to the other side, 16A, right where the F-14 Tomcat is, and just go ahead and snap those in. All right, and then we're going to come over to 17A and make sure you snap those in to their respective slots. You can turn the carrier on its side too if you need to, and that might help you press those in a little bit better so you can see what's going on. And then 18A, same thing over here. Just make sure that little flap is tucked under there. And just work them in little by little until they're snapped into place. It is a tight fit. It's going to be a pretty sturdy boat when it's all done. Sturdy ship. And then 19A, go ahead and insert those tabs into their respective slots. All right, now what we're going to do is remove the twin stick pad backing from all of the internal opening flaps. And with the model laid down on a table flat, just go ahead and fold all of those flaps in and secure them down with the twin sticks to their interior surfaces. Now with these flaps, make sure you fold flaps 21 out of the way. You don't want those to stick down yet because that's for the sound module. Grab your sound module, take it out of the baggie, flip it to the on position. You can test it, press it on and off with the button. And then we're going to go ahead and fold flaps 21 back, hold them back out of the way, and line up the button to the button hole and the speaker to the speaker hole. And then you can go ahead and secure it down with flaps 21 with those twin stick pads. And when you turn the carrier over, you can see what the sound module looks like installed there. Next, we're going to be installing the hook Velcro strips, the adhesive strips that go inside the ship here to hold the straps on. So remove the backing from one of them, and you're going to install it right here. I like to use those little brown cardboard tabs there as sort of arrows on where to place them. Placement isn't super critical. You just want them to be firmly pressed down kind of on the right and the left side of the opening so that the straps have a good foundation to grab onto. So do the same thing in the rear section here. Just go ahead and remove the backing and press those down, rub them down really well. Your adhesive strips there for the hook Velcro. And then we're going to grab our soft touch stretchy loop Velcro straps. Here's the loop Velcro strap. Now we're going to be installing these in an X pattern from one side to the other, and that'll keep the straps from sliding off the shoulders. And what you can do is let out or take in as much slack as you need on these straps to adjust the height that the carrier will sit on your child. Now when you flip it over, when you put this on your child, you want to make sure that the X or the cross is sitting on the child's back. That's the X right there. And the opening in the front is sitting where their neck or chest area is. Next, we're going to move on to the tower piece. So step 22. Before we do that, we're going to pre-fold on all the score lines. Really press down those flaps hard, 24A. And then insert tab 22A into its respective slot on the tower to snap it together. Then we're going to move on to the roof piece where step 23 and 24 and 25 is. Now you want to pre-fold and break in the score lines really well on those little triangular pieces there. Really press those down on those little triangular window pieces. Break in the tabs and on all the score lines there on the roof. Again, really press down hard on those little triangular pieces right out to the edges. Then take tab 23A and install it into slot 23A. And what you're going to do is rotate the window piece back and help tabs 23B find their respective slots and snap those into place. Just kind of work them in. And then when those are snapped into place, you can rotate the roof down and you can insert tabs 24A into their respective slots. Once that's snapped in, then you can work on tabs 25A and 25B. So the A tab's going first, and then line up the B tab and get that situated, and then you can start pulling and pushing until you get all three of those tabs securely locked into place on the tower. All right, once that's done, we're going to take our antenna and install it. That's 26 right here, 26A, and just install that right there in the slot on top of the tower. Then line up 27B and 27A to their respective slots on the deck. And go ahead and start working all of those tabs into their slots on the deck until they're all snapped into place. Just take your time and kind of shimmy it in. And once that is locked down, you're good to go. So there's the Suitables aircraft carrier complete. We hope you had a lot of fun building it. We're sure your kids will have a lot of fun playing in it. Now we do have the hatch, the bow hatch in the front. You can put your Halloween candy in there when you're trick-or-treating with it. And we also have the optional cover deck panel where you can lock these tabs in onto the slots on the deck right here. So go ahead and place it on the deck, snap it down, and now you've just turned your wearable aircraft carrier into a toy. Now you can also assemble the 5 foam airplanes that we include in the kit, and you can practice your carrier landings and compete with your friends for who can get the best carrier landings. And then when you're done with carrier landing practice, you can go ahead and take all your planes and stow them in the bow hatch. Hope you enjoy it. Until next time.
Number 1, clear takeoff. Let's make it happen, boys.